Right now at 10, it was 47 years ago today that a car bomb targeting Arizona Republic reporter Don Bolles exploded outside the Clarendon Hotel in Phoenix. He thought he was meeting a source at the hotel, but it was a setup. Bolles would die from his injuries 11 days later. Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Kariba Devine.
I'm Jonathan McCall. Mark enjoying the night off. This morning, friends and co-workers getting together at the spot of that bombing to remember the man and what he died for. Team 12's Michael Doudna was there.
The silence speaks volumes.
It's just something I do every year is to come to this spot. To me, it's kind of a holy spot of journalism.
It seems like ancient history, and yet it seems like yesterday.
Remembering the man, Don Bolles.
Don Bolles joined the Republic in 1962. He's the father of 7 children.
This guy was a tenacious, badass, take no prisoners investigative reporter.
He was just a real reporter who would have given up anything to get a story.
And he hated what was happening to the state of Arizona. You know, this was the sanctuary for the mafia. This was their free state.
On June 2nd, 1976, his wedding anniversary.
Bomb went off in his car yesterday as he sat in it outside a hotel where he was to have met a man who had some information for him.
And so he gets a tip and was supposed to meet with a source that turned out to be a trap.
Hospital attendants who picked up Bolles said he told them he was working on a story concerning the mafia.
Bolles' former colleagues.
And it was like the whole room just got very cold and froze.
Remembering.
And she said, "Don's over there." And I said, "Where?" She says, "That's Don." So much blood on him, I couldn't even tell it was a human being.
The injuries forcing doctors to amputate 3 limbs.
They sat outside with shotguns. They got the people who didn't do the job would try to come and kill him at the hospital.
Even with his injuries, Bolles survived 11 more days.
Today they held the final services for Don Bolles.
The funeral, I once wrote, married grief and shock.
It was like a military funeral, I guess it was.
Meanwhile, the investigation will continue into who was responsible for the bombing and the death of Don Bolles.
The mood was vengeance.
Police first arrested John Amundsen, the man Bolles thought he would be meeting at the hotel. His testimony would then lead to the convictions of Max Dunlap and James Robeson.
47 years later, we don't have vengeance.
Jana believes to this day that the person who ordered the hit on Bolles was never truly held responsible.
I think we brought justice as much as is humanly possible.
George Weiss would later lead the team of investigators in the AG's office. Dunlap would die in prison. Robeson was later acquitted, and Amundsen served more than 20 years in prison and died in witness protection back in 2002.
And you have to deal with the evidence, and the evidence took us along this path to the people that were convicted.
But today, while those who knew Don Bolles gathered at the spot of the bombing, remembering.
I think we have to remember him as a consummate journalist.
I'd say, Don, you did as much as you could do.
I think he should be remembered for a guy who did his job. He went ahead and had the determination to go after some pretty tough targets.
We should remember Don Bolles as a courageous journalist who gave his life trying to expose the truth.
Michael Doudna, 12 News.